The atmosphere in the bank was charged as the manager, Ms. Rachel Evans, pointed an accusing finger at the young girl standing at the teller's window. "Get out and stay where I can see you, so you don't cause any more trouble. You look out of place, and I won't serve you." 14-year-old Zoe Thompson, dressed in her private school uniform, felt the grip of the security guard tightening around her arm as he escorted her across the marble floor of Oakridge Community Bank. The eyes of every customer in the bustling branch turned to watch the spectacle unfold. An adolescent girl being forcibly removed while clutching her backpack, her face flushed with embarrassment. "Stand right here. Don't move," the guard commanded, positioning Zoe in a corner far from the entrance. Exposed yet isolated. The humiliation burned in her cheeks as affluent patrons whispered among themselves, casting furtive glances her way. Ms. Evans stood nearby, arms crossed, a satisfied smirk playing on her lips. Panic surged in Zoe's chest. She had only come to deposit her scholarship funds. But now she felt utterly degraded. Desperation set in as she rummaged through her backpack, realizing that her scholarship check, ID, and vital documents had been confiscated. Then, the dread washed over her as she recalled something else she had left behind. "My phone. I left it at school during study hall," she said, her voice trembling. "Please. I just need to call my dad. He's expecting me home soon." Miss Evans brushed past her, the click of her designer heels echoing sharply against the floor. "That's not our problem," she replied dismissively, not even glancing at Zoe. "You'll wait here until we finish verifying your documents, if they're even legitimate. If you believe in standing up against injustice and treating everyone fairly, share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you don't want to miss the shocking conclusion of this encounter, be sure to subscribe to our channel. This story is a powerful reminder of the instant karma that can unfold in the face of discrimination. You won't want to miss what happens next. Zoe Thompson was not just an ordinary teenager, she was a bright and determined 14-year-old who had recently earned a $5,000 academic scholarship due to her outstanding academic achievements. That morning, she had sat at the breakfast table, her heart fluttering with excitement as she carefully slipped her scholarship check into a folder, ready to make her very first independent bank deposit. Her father, Dr. Michael Thompson, a respected financial consultant, known for his community-focused philosophy, had looked up from his newspaper, a hint of concern on his face. "Are you sure you don't need me to come with you?" he asked, glancing at the article about his recent acquisition of Oakridge Community Bank. "I'm 14 now, Dad. I need to learn how to handle these things myself," Zoe replied, her voice steady. The pride in her father's eyes reassured her that she was ready for this new challenge. The Thompson family resided in one of the most affluent neighborhoods in Oakridge. Their home was elegant, yet unpretentious, reflecting Dr. Thompson's belief that true wealth comes from investing in people, rather than material possessions. Zoe attended Oakridge Academy, where tuition was steep, but she wore the simplest version of her school uniform. Her only adornment was a small leather-bound notebook she carried everywhere, where she jotted down observations and ideas in her neat handwriting. Zoe had chosen Oakridge Community Bank for her first banking experience, because it was the flagship branch of her father's recent acquisition, although the employees were unaware of the ownership change. The bank's opulent marble floors and polished wooden counters exuded an air of exclusivity. As she joined the line, Zoe practiced her deposit slip speech silently, feeling a mix of nervous excitement for what should have been a routine transaction. Little did she know, this simple visit would soon turn into a nightmare. When it was finally Zoe's turn at the teller's window, her heart raced with anticipation. She approached the counter, her carefully organized documents in hand, her scholarship check, ID, and a letter confirming her award. However, as she slid the check across the counter, she noticed the teller's expression shift from polite professionalism to immediate suspicion. The teller, Miss Jennifer Lane, looked at the check, then at Zoe, her eyes widening at the amount. "This is quite a large check for someone your age," Ms. Lane said, her voice rising slightly, drawing the attention of nearby customers. "Where did you get this?" "It's my academic scholarship," Zoe explained, trying to maintain her composure as heat rushed to her cheeks. "I can show you the award letter." Without further ado, Ms. Lane pressed a button beneath the counter. Moments later, Ms. Evans, the branch manager, appeared, her demeanor instantly dismissive. She glanced at Zoe without acknowledging her presence, just addressing the teller as if Zoe were invisible. "Another one of these?" Ms. Evans sighed, shaking her head in disdain. "We've had issues with fraudulent checks from people like her lately." The emphasis on people like her was unmistakable. Zoe felt a wave of humiliation wash over her. "It's my academic scholarship," she repeated, handing over her award letter. "I have all the necessary documentation." Ms. Evans snatched the letter from Zoe's hand, her eyes scanning the prestigious letterhead with a mix of disbelief and contempt. "I'll need to see some identification," she demanded, her tone terse. As Zoe handed over her school ID and bank card, Ms. Evans collected everything into a folder, stating, "We'll need to hold on to these for verification." Zoe's heart sank as she realized that the situation was spiraling out of control. "I just want to deposit my check like anyone else," she pleaded, but her words fell on deaf ears. The surrounding customers glanced at each other, some uncomfortable but none willing to intervene. As Zoe stood there, she could feel the weight of Miss Evans's gaze pressing down on her. "Listen carefully," Miss Evans said, leaning over the counter. "I run this branch. I decide who gets service. You don't belong here." The words hit Zoe like a cold slap. She felt her legs trembling, not just from fear, but from the sheer injustice of it all. "Please. I just want to deposit my scholarship check," Zoe insisted, her voice steady despite the panic rising within her. But Ms. Evans only scoffed, turning to the security guard, a hulking figure named Mr. Adams. "Escort this girl away from the counter. She's causing a disturbance." Mr. Adams stepped forward, his expression stern. "Let's go now," he commanded, gripping Zoe's arm firmly. She protested, her voice breaking. "I can't leave without my documents. You have everything." Ignoring her pleas, Mr. Adams marched Zoe across the busy bank floor, leading her to a corner near the entrance. "Stand here, and don't move until we say so," he ordered, leaving her here exposed and humiliated. The murmurs of the other customers filled the air. Some looked sympathetic, while others simply watched the drama unfold, their expressions a mix of curiosity and discomfort. Zoe's heart raced as she stood helplessly in the corner. Time dragged on, each minute stretching painfully, as wealthy clients continued to be served promptly, receiving warm smiles and attentive service from Ms. Evans. Zoe's stomach churned as she witnessed the stark contrast in treatment. She felt invisible, her self-worth eroding with every passing minute. Desperation clawed at her as she realized she had left her phone at school. "Excuse me," she called softly to Mr. Adams. "Could I please use the phone? My dad is at me," but he didn't even turn his head. "Stay put, and be quiet. We'll get to you when we can." With every minute that passed, Zoe felt more alone and frightened, the humiliation settling deep within her. After what felt like an eternity of standing in the corner, Zoe noticed a change in Ms. Evans's demeanor. The branch manager, who had been so cruel and dismissive, suddenly seemed distracted and agitated, frequently checking her expensive watch. Zoe's curiosity piqued as she wondered what could be causing this abrupt shift. At precisely 1:45 p.m., the receptionist's phone rang, and Ms. Evans tensed, her posture straightening as she hurried to her office at the far end of the NAIC. Zoe's heart raced as she watched, determined to find out what was happening. As Ms. Evans entered her office, she left the door slightly ajar, creating a narrow gap through which Zoe could see. Peering through, Zoe held her breath as she caught sight of a tall man in a sharp, tailored suit entering the office. He looked familiar, and then it struck her. Harrison Wells, the CEO of Meridian Banking Group, one of her father's main competitors. Zoe's stomach twisted with anxiety as she realized the significance of this meeting. "Are you sure no one saw me come in?" Harrison asked, glancing around nervously. He stepped closer to check the blinds, ensuring that they were fully drawn. "The side entrance worked as planned?" "Yes, Mr. Wells. Everything is arranged just as we discussed," Ms. Evans replied, her voice trembling with excitement. "No one knows you're here." Zoe's heart raced as she watched Ms. Evans pull out a thick manila folder, marked confidential Montgomery documents. Her family name sent a jolt of adrenaline through her body. What was Ms. Evans planning? "This has everything you asked for: client lists, asset valuations, and detailed accounts of high-net-worth customers," Ms. Evans continued, her tone reverent. "With attention focused on the acquisition, they'll never see us coming." Zoe felt a mix of fear and anger. Not only was Ms. Evans betraying her father's company, but she was also treating customers unfairly. Zoe quickly grabbed her small leather notebook, her fingers trembling as she began to document everything she was witnessing. This was no longer just about her humiliation. It was about exposing the truth. As Zoe continued to document the shocking betrayal unfolding before her eyes, her heart raced with both fear and determination. She couldn't believe that the very manager who had treated her with such disdain was now conspiring against her father. Just then, her phone buzzed in her pocket. Melody, the teller who had shown her a glimmer of kindness earlier, had slipped her a lifeline. Zoe quickly dialed her father's number, praying he would pick up. "Dad," she whispered urgently, trying to keep her voice steady. "I'm at the bank, and they won't let me deposit my check. Miss Evans has taken my ID and other documents." "Zoe, what's happening?" Dr. Michael Thompson's voice was calm but filled with concern. "You should have been home by now. They're treating me badly. And I think Miss Evans is working with someone named Harrison Wells," Zoe explained, her words tumbling out in a rush. "They were just in a meeting, and I saw them discussing confidential documents about our family's business." The silence on the other end was heavy, and Zoe could hear her father taking a deep breath. "Stay calm, Zoe. I'm on my way. But don't let them know who you are just yet. My assistant, Ms. Larkin, will be there shortly." Zoe's anxiety started to lift slightly. "Help is coming," she whispered, feeling a flicker of hope. "Thank you, Dad." As she ended the call, she glanced around, searching for Melody. Their eyes met, and Zoe nodded, grateful for the support. But as the minutes dragged on, tension filled the air. Zoe returned to her notes, documenting every detail she had witnessed. Finally, at 3:42 p.m., the bank's glass doors swung open with purpose. In walked Ms. Larkin, tall and impeccably dressed, exuding an air of authority. Ms. Evans immediately approached her, attempting to mask her surprise with a practiced smile. "Welcome to Oakridge Community Bank. How may I assist you today?" Ms. Evans asked, her tone overly cheerful. "I need to speak with Zoe Thompson right away," Ms. Larkin replied, her voice firm and commanding. Ms. Evans's expression faltered as she glanced toward Zoe, realization dawning on her face. The tide was about to turn.